Hello, and thank you for joining me here on my channel today, you guys. We are going to be doing your tarot reading for the new moon occurring in the sign of Leo on July 28th. So stick around and let's see what kind of messages come out today, you guys. We already have some stuff flying out. I'm going to keep shuffling for just a moment. New moons are an incredible time to start manifesting. In fact, I would say that's the best time to be doing any sort of manifestation is on a new moon. And this one in Leo is really special, mainly because Leo is the sign ruled by the sun, and the sun and moon will be in conjunction in Leo, which is what a new moon is, when the sun and the moon are in the same sign. I really like to think of this as, with the sun and moon, I like to think of it as like a head and heart alignment. Your sun in Leo, the outward like expression of who you are, and then the inner thoughts and things that we tell ourselves are in alignment with this new moon. We're going to be seeing a lot of deep inner purging of our self-limiting beliefs. So thinking about, I'm not good at XYZ, or just kind of, not being confident and not believing in yourself and working to, working towards the things that you want to do. You might even be having these feelings or working through these feelings of kind of counting your losses before you even start. Writing yourself off as, not good enough to, manifest or complete this goal in your life. And this new moon is going to be purging those feelings. It's going to be a really deep reworking of those feelings and your self-limiting beliefs inside. So I'm going to take a look here at the cards that we have down here. The first two that came out was this Knight of Wands in reverse and these Two of Pentacles. And I really feel like this is manifesting itself as an inability to balance and see things through. The Two of Pentacles is about balancing and, juggling these things that you have going on in your life, juggling these multiple priorities and these, kind of flowing through these cycles of your life. And the Knight of Wands is a lack of inspiration, not being able to see these things through because you're struggling to maintain balance. You've been putting too much of yourself in certain places and not leaving enough left for your other priorities that you have. And that directly is impacting this lack of being able to work your magic and do what it is that you want to do. The Knight of Wands is, a true manifester. In the upright, he's running and moving towards what it is that he sees and what he's doing. And in the reverse, you're not able to see it through to the completion of what it is. And the very next thing that came out was the Queen of Swords. So really, there is a need right now for you to get clear about where it is that you want to go next. Getting clear about what it is that you would like to do. The Queen of Swords, you can see that she's looking towards her future here. She's looking out. Her head is above those clouds, so she has clear thinking and is able to see without any sort of, see above the blockages, really above the distractions, and know that that is exactly where she would like to go. And so the Queen of Swords is really needing to get clear about where it is that you see yourself in this future, Okay, let's keep going. We also have the Five of Wands here. So this can signify conflict. Usually it's conflict with another person, although I also like to think of it as inner conflict. You can see in that card that there are these 5 people holding wands, and they're all kind of fighting each other, trying to win, trying to beat the other person. And sometimes the most difficult battles that we face are actually these conflicts within ourselves about the many different choices and directions that we could go. And so you've been having a lot of conflict internally and even externally. Maybe you've been having conflict with other people in your life. I really see this as, with the cards that we've had here so far, I really see this as almost just an inner conflict about where to put your energy next. Over here we had the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords come out together. So this is really interesting to me because the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords kind of talk about some sort of sneaking, backstabbing, like working behind the scenes kind of energy going on. I almost see this manifesting itself as self-sabotaging behaviors. So, especially since we were talking with the Leo full moon being about, purging these self-limiting beliefs and really working to rebuild your confidence in yourself, I feel like this is something you've been engaging in a lot recently. I see it as almost though you have been so afraid of this thing going wrong that you've been sabotaging it for yourself from the beginning. It's really what I'm getting here is that it's almost like by you being so afraid of the outcome of this, you've been self-sabotaging and it's been coming true. How do I explain it? Like, you see a situation and you see it panning out a specific way, and instead of doing something, you've been pushing it in a specific direction to make it come true. And it's almost like a sense of safety for you, knowing that you were right. If you push a situation in a specific direction out of fear, then you almost feel justified by taking the actions that you did. It's like if you are pushing yourself towards, the end of a relationship, for example. If you've been pushing yourself towards an end of a personal relationship or friendship, maybe you've been telling yourself that, like, oh, this is how it would, always have happened. It's like you're saying, I knew this from the start, and so I was right. And it's almost like this sense of safety to yourself to sabotage the behavior, the Five of Swords, and to look back from the Seven of Swords position and be like, I was right all along, when it was you in the first place who made it be that way. Does that make sense? I know that that's kind of a weird, I really hope that made sense. I know that's kind of a weird, tangent to go off of, but that's my gut feeling about what these two cards are. Forcing a direction, forcing a path in a specific direction for yourself, and then looking back at it later and being like, oh yeah, I was right all along. With the other cards here that we talked about earlier, I feel like this fits in pretty decently because you have that lack of manifesting what it is that you want and the imbalance of things. The conflict and the need to get clear in your direction while also, self-sabotaging. I'm getting the feeling that you've been forcing yourself to be busier than what is really healthy for you. I see this as like you're trying to put yourself in so many directions to please others that it's creating this conflict within yourself and this conflicted feelings towards these others in your life that you kind of feel obligated to. And we have that Queen of Swords, so you know where it is that you want to go. But you're at this place of you see a path for yourself and you want to go that direction, but you feel like you're being held back by all of these other obligations and, things that other people want for you. I really get the feeling that you haven't been acting towards your own wants and desires at this time. You've been kind of doing it performatively for others. You've been kind of putting yourself out there to please others with your actions. And you're at the end of it with these cards. You're at the end of it going like, yeah, I got here, but what am I doing now? We had another card that came out too as well earlier, and that was the Hermit in reverse. So I feel like with everything that's kind of going on right now, these conflicts about trying to make things work for other people to the point that you're sacrificing yourself, really, sacrificing your own ideas. You're juggling not just your ideas and expectations, but the weight and responsibility of the expectations that other people had put on you, truthfully. And with that Hermit in reverse, you're kind of avoiding taking the inner, you're really avoiding looking into it too deeply, because at a certain point, you are afraid of what happens if you do. If you confront this inside yourself, if you confront this conflict that you've been experiencing, if you really take the time to look at your self-sabotaging behaviors, what's on the other side of it, you know? That Hermit in reverse really says that you need to take time out to focus on yourself for a little bit, that you've been feeling this desire and this need to pull back energetically from these things that are taking up a lot of your mental capacity at this point. You've been avoiding taking the time back because you are so stuck in this. I feel like it's really that you're stuck in this self-sabotaging cycle here. You're finding comfort in the cycles that you have been repeating, is what I'm getting from this. That you've been repeating these same cycles before, and there's a sense of comfort in knowing where it's going to go and where it's going to take you, but refusing to confront it in the first place is really what's causing your problem in general. You know, you find yourself going through these cycles of conflict and, you know, carrying the weight beyond what you can carry. I almost see this as like a burnout type situation. You've been feeling burnt out because you've been trying to do so much lately that it's creating this conflict for yourself internally and in your personal relationships. I almost get the feeling that maybe some of you might have kind of had like a blow up recently of like an emotional overload, a real burnout where you kind of created this situation for yourself, and it's a cycle that you've been through before. And you're refusing to really take the time to step back and think about it, to step back and analyze what it is that you really need to do. Yeah, okay. Ten of Swords in reverse. So this is something that has hurt you in the past. You have been through and seen this cycle, and you're due for another cycle ending. The Ten of Swords is the completion of a cycle, and in fact, it's related to, you know, something being dead, something being done and over with. The straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. You're going through this cycle of giving too much of yourself to others and other people and things around you. And you're really just sitting at the end of it being like, where's my bit? I've been giving all these things to other people, but where is my piece? Where's my payback? Not payback, but my reward for doing this. I almost feel like you might be one of those people who's very much a people pleaser. You know, you've been doing all these things with the expectation of seeing a return. Yeah, let's keep going. I feel like that Ten of Swords is very much that, you know, you have the capacity to end this cycle, but it's not going to be, this is in the reverse, and so it's not going to be completely done and over with until you can get to the point where you come to terms with and end and break this cycle. And the card that came out, that popped out while I was shuffling here, was the Knight of Cups in reverse. The Knight of Cups in reverse is this guy, right? And these cards aren't gendered, but I say guy just because of a knight. But it's this person, guy or girl, could be any gender. I really see this as you, though. The Knight of Cups is bringing in this sense of emotional maturity, and you haven't quite unlocked it for yourself yet. He's a water bearer. He's bringing in these cups full of water in order to start planting in this desert that he's, crossing. He's been on this journey carrying this cup of water, this, his emotions, essentially. And if you think about it, if you're carrying a cup through a desert, you have to be really careful, right? You have to be careful about how you utilize this water, how much you're drinking on this journey of your water. You have to make sure that there's enough left from the beginning to the end. If you are stuck in the desert and you drink all your water at once, you're not going to have anything left at the end of it. You could go thirsty. And so the Knight of Cups is really about finding this temperance, this balance, a better utilization of your resources that you have, right? And with him being in reverse, I feel like he doesn't quite have this handle on what it is that he's carrying. It's almost, I get the feeling of like you've been letting your emotions spill out too much. You haven't really had a good handle on them, a good container on them. You've been letting your emotions control you rather than controlling it. Alright, yeah, and we got the Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups to me is like choice overload, right? The message that's coming through for this card right now is that if you're not intentional about where it is that you're putting your energies, you're going to be overwhelmed by all these things that you could possibly be doing, right? If you're not the master of your mind and the things that you're manifesting, if you're not the master of it, you're going to be bringing all these extra things into your life that you don't need. If you take a look at this card, right, you can see that there's a lot of different options available to this person in their cup. And some of which, with this wreath here, some of these options look like victory. And some of them look like, really good things. And other things look a little bit more sinister, like this devil-looking thing here. Or maybe they're things that'll be really extra challenging, like this tower, this mountain moment here. And so I really feel like the more intentional that you get with these inner narratives, the more intentional you get with what you want as your outcome, the more you can kind of block out these excess noises of, other things that you could possibly be doing. I feel like especially in the terms of like this cycle that you've been kind of finding yourself stuck in, with this cycle, I feel like, you're not being intentional about where you want to go. And so you're kind of finding yourself a victim of your mind a little bit. I feel like really at this time you need to maybe even get like a piece of pen and a paper and just kind of write out, what things you want in your life and what you don't want in your life. And then start focusing on that side of your paper of things that you do want in your life, and really getting clear about the path and the direction you can take to get there. Because if you're not being clear about it, you're going to be overwhelmed by all the choices available to you. And you might end up manifesting something you don't mean to. They say that the best way to manifest something in your life is to be intentional about it. So that means that you have to provide focus, you have to provide direction. And if you're thinking about all the possible scenarios that there could be and not thinking about the one that you want, you could end up with extra things because you put your energy toward that, right? You could end up with, these scenarios that because you put so much of I feel like this is like a mental thinking cycle for a lot of you. This self-sabotaging mental cycle is really like taking too much control over your life. Allowing this, maybe it's like an actual narrative that you're telling yourself. Actual words like, I'm not good enough for this, so I just shouldn't even try, right? If you've been telling yourself kind of that mental negativity over and over again, of course, that's going to be what happens because that's the narrative that you're telling yourself, right? That's going to be what manifests because that's what you're putting your energy towards. And you really need to take the time to kind of challenge your own beliefs for a moment there and really connect with your inner self-confidence. So we also got this Ace of Wands cards here. And I feel like with this Leo full moon, if you take the time to think about where you want to go, you could find yourself manifesting a new passion. You could find yourself manifesting, a new energy towards building the life that you want and building the things that you would like. I like to think of Wands cards as they're the true alchemists of the tarot deck, right? A wand is an actual magical object. It takes something non-physical, it takes something spiritual and not in the physical realm and makes it available to you in a physical form, right? Like conjuring a frog, for example. Not that you'd be conjuring a frog, but just like, you have this magic, you take this thing that's in the astral realm and bring it into the physical and you birth it into the physical. And so the Ace of Wands is really the true foundational energy of doing that. It's the true beginning of, getting this idea of this thing you want to build for yourself and kind of I'm getting this feeling of like a second wind for you, a renewed sense of purpose, really, a new sense of direction for yourself. And if you can take the time in here to get more intentional, and pick maybe the one thing with the Ace, pick one thing to really focus your full energy and intention on. And I feel like if you take the time to do that outside of your self-limiting beliefs here, if you take the time to do it, you're going to see the result of it. Let's go ahead and do one last we're gonna talk about this last card. I'm really putting the intention that this is the last one because this reading's been kind of long already. And we have the Moon in reverse. So I feel like that's really interesting because this is about the new moon, and I feel like with this in reverse, it's literally like, in the upright it's a full moon, in the reverse it's a new moon. I think that's kind of cool. I feel like this is really needing to find a new direction, right? You've been cutting off your intuition about where you want to go for so long, and you've kind of found yourself stuck on this path. If you look in the upright, there's this path here, and on either side of the path there's these, things that could possibly distract you, right? And so if you're following this path towards the moon here, if you're following this path in the night, it's important to stay on your path and not get distracted. And there's this feeling within you of where you want to go. You do have an idea of where it would go, but you found yourself distracted. And I think it's really time, with this card, I think it's really time to get back on that path and start to follow your inner light, your inner path for yourself. Realign with your heart and your inner knowing about the direction you want to go. And I feel like if you do that, you really can't be led astray. If you know inside where you want to go, nothing can distract you. Nothing can pull you from that path. And so I feel like this is really needing to get back on that path. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that, I really like these readings because it gives us a moment to kind of sit back and think to ourselves, about the way that we've been moving in our lives lately. I think by taking the moment to sit down and do these readings with me, it gives you a moment to kind of tap into your self-awareness a little bit. I feel like, especially with this whole reading, tapping into your self-awareness is really key for moving forward and and seeing the results of your manifestations, really. Thanks for joining me today, you guys. I really like doing these readings for you, and I can't wait to see you again.